Toyota's GR Supra revives a classic sports car formula with a bit of Teutonic help. It's fast, it makes a statement, and it's been developed by real enthusiasts. What's not to like?
We've had, of course, endless media comparisons between this car and its BMW Z4 M40i development cousin. GR Supra chief engineer Tetsuya Tada hasn't got much time for any of that, pointing out that all the dynamic elements that really matter, namely the settings used here for suspension, steering and the electronically controlled differential, are all his brand's own, courtesy of an intensive tuning program from Gazoo Racing, the Toyota competition division given the task of developing this model. If you're going to compare the Supra to another car, he says, compare it to a Porsche Cayman. That, of course, isn't the kind of classic straight-six, front-engined, rear-wheel drive sports car this Toyota is trying to be. But this Supra's power output, 335 brake horsepower, and performance figures, rest to 62 miles an hour in 4.3 seconds, are very Cayman-like. The gearbox used here is somewhat different though, an 8-speed ZF torque converter auto. Its change times influenced by your choice between normal or sport drive mode settings. These also alter steering feel, throttle response and the ride quality you get from the adaptive variable suspension. More electronics feature in the form of an active differential that redirects torque between the rear wheels, firing you from bend to bend. All of this is further aided by ideal 50-50 weight distribution and a particularly stiff chassis. The fairly chunky 1.5-ton curb weight is less helpful, which is one of the reasons why you can't chuck this car into a bend with quite the abandon you can with some rivals. But it'd be an easier car to live with day to day. Even the running cost efficiency isn't too bad. Official figures suggesting a WLTP rated combined cycle fuel figure of 34.5 mpg and an NEDC rated CO2 return of 170 grams per kilometre. You'd expect a car that's had to borrow so heavily from shared componentry to be something of a compromised design. Yet, of all the 5 Supra generations produced since Toyota unveiled its iconic 2000 GT sports car back in 1967, there's little doubt that this one gets closest to replicating the romance of that original model's classic styling. The original brief that Toyota started out with wasn't initially what BMW had in mind for its version of this car, but chief designer Nobuo Nakamura stuck to it throughout. His so-called condensed extreme concept, epitomised by the FT1 concept car of 2014. In profile, you can clearly see its key elements. A short wheelbase, large wheels and a wide stance, a taut 2-seat-only cabin and a long bonnet with a compact body, reflecting the purest combination of an inline 6-cylinder engine and rear-wheel drive. It's certainly extreme. The voluptuous rear haunches, the double-bubble roofline that delivers this unusual upper silhouette, and these curious slashes in the front wings that seem to serve no purpose we can discern, aesthetic or practical. You certainly can't accuse this car of being understyled. Enough, let's take a look inside. Toyota claims the cabin design's been influenced by the cockpits you get in single-seater racing cars, which is why some might find the high waistline and low driving position a touch claustrophobic. The dramatic view forward over the long bonnet also requires some adjustment, but overall, most in this car's target market will love the focused, driver-orientated feel this interior delivers. What Supra fans with wider brand experience might not like so much is the vast amount of shared BMW componentry on show here, but for the most part, it's been classily integrated, and quite a lot about this cabin remains Toyota's own. The great-looking supportive sports seats, the thin-rimmed steering wheel, and the bespoke instrument cluster screen you view through it, complete with prominent 3D effect, orange rev counter, and white digital speedo. The 8.8-inch fascia top infotainment screen is BMW's, but that's a good thing, as it delivers a level of media connectivity currently beyond most Toyota models. Not much is offered in terms of cabin storage, but it's easy to get comfortable. Front and sidewards vision is fine, and build quality from the Austrian Magna Steyr factory seems pretty strong. Is this an uncompromised sports car as Toyota promises? Of course it isn't. No joint engineering project can ever be quite that. The sort of Supra chief engineer Tetsuya Tada and his colleagues would have created from a clean sheet would surely have been different from this A90 series model, but perhaps not so very different. Because the company stuck to its guns on what it wanted from this car, the end result has stayed true to the essential tenets of Supra development. Tada-san sees this as an old-fashioned sports car, and in many ways it is. There's something timeless about the feel of a classic front-engine sports car with a lightly loaded driven rear axle that you just don't get from supposedly purer mid-engined models like Porsche's 718 Cayman or the Alpine A110. It's special and memorable and different and fun, exactly as a Supra should be.